Hey everybody, Josh Sigurdson of World Alternative Media here, and we are joined by Joey Langenbrunner, the Ohio State rep for Liberland. And of course we've talked with your president on a few occasions, really great guy. I wanted to ask a little bit about your involvement in Liberland and what the latest news is for Liberland going forward, because this has been a multi-year process, kind of getting notice from different countries around the world and authorities and banks, etc. Can you go a little bit into what the latest news is?
Yeah, so the latest news is that we actually had a meeting at the EU Parliament about 2 months ago. It went well. So if you just go to our YouTube channel, we have like a 2 hour, like 1 or 2 hour of that. So definitely, encourage everyone to check that out. Kind of, say, well, what's going on and what kind of like their opinion is. But since I'm here on the state level, especially here in Ohio, kind of what my job is to really get on the state of Ohio to pass resolution. So kind of what we're thinking about is, especially when it comes to like the U.S. team for Liberland, is that we essentially want to say, okay, maybe we can get maybe 1, 2, 3, 4 states to recognize Liberland, and then go to the State Department and say, hey, we got this state, we got this state, we got this state, got this state, we got also the LNC as well, who recognizes us. Will you recognize or what kind of process? Because these are steps that we have to kind of go forth in order to kind of play with the rest of the countries around.
Yeah. So how many countries now recognize Liberland?
So currently we have relations set up with the government of Somaliland, which is kind of like in the same boat as us. Some places don't recognize us as well. Don't recognize Somaliland, but Somaliland is really pushing forward and getting a lot of investments, coming in. And Somaliland, not talking about Somalia, that's a whole nother thing. So we're kind of just working side by them, really helping out, trying to, give them innovations, especially when it comes to our blockchain technology as well. Kind of, give back and forth, because they are a lot further than us. I mean, they do have land that they're on, that they control. Unfortunately, we do not have that. But one other things that we're going to be doing is that we're going to be launching or potentially be debuting on our e-residency app at Acapulco. Hopefully, cross fingers, and a few other things that I'll kind of keep down low, but give you the exclusive here, Josh. So yeah, just really exciting. Everything is going well. We have so many representatives in other countries that I've been meeting, and kind of my journey through this has just been ever so just inspiring. And every single time I talk about this with people always kind of perk their ears up and oh, okay, this is really interesting. I want to learn more. Yeah,
and I mean, obviously, this is. It's on the verge of being, a voluntarist society. It's really interesting. It's historic. I wouldn't call it a micronation. Vic called me on that last time because it's bigger than the Vatican. You can't forget that. But I have to ask, Joey, going forward, I mean, what is the purpose of getting recognized by the EU, for example, United Nations? I mean, because obviously a lot of these entities are not exactly the kind of people you want to do business with. So, I mean, why be recognized by these entities?
So essentially, at the end of the day, we have to play ball, which is, it's unfortunate, but if we're going to be recognized and play their game in order to get freedom, this is something that we have to do. So even when it comes to how much power, Vít really has, our president, honestly, at the end of the day, it's not going to be much once things, kind of formalize and everything like that. It's more or less just going to be, he's going to be the figurehead. If we're going to be talking to other countries and doing diplomatic stuff, we have to keep that conversation open. And so this kind of creates a little bit form of legitimacy, But it's not they're going to have all this crazy kind of power that every single other government's going to have. That's not going to be the case.
It's not going to be legal tender laws, the usury debt, force on people, that kind of stuff.
No.
But, I do want to mention, because obviously this is huge, and in the end there's going to be some form of governance structure involved. I'm assuming, and I'm really just assuming, that Vít would, he said he'd step down as president eventually, or like you said, there's going to be a figurehead. I'm just wondering how that's all going to come together. Are people going to just voluntarily agree to pay into the system? Because there's a lot of questions that our viewers ask about Liberland, because it's one of the more interesting cases when it comes to a governance structure in recent history, because not a lot of people go out, find land, and they're I'm going to create a country. So what do you think? What is the structure kind of going to be like?
So essentially, I don't know how familiar you are with like the ES platform. So the ES, a platform has certain like block producers that produce on the ES block. But you can essentially, like, if you buy EOS, it's almost kind of like a vote. So you essentially vote in real time, and then these block producers can be voted in or out almost in real time. So thinking about kind of, okay, so we might possibly have something like that. Maybe not every 3 seconds, kind of like how EOS has. Definitely don't want to be, okay, 3 seconds later, you're president, and then like 3 seconds later, not president. That might not be so efficient. But we're going to try to do something like that. So we're going to be using our cryptocurrency called merits. And in order to become a citizen, you would have to buy 5,000 merits and then kind of like stake those 5,000 merits. And then that'll be kind of your vote. And this will all be, of course, this is going to all be on the blockchain, so everything's going to be transparent and everything like that. And you essentially would vote in real time or something like that. We're still working out the kinks. There's a lot that really goes into this. Some things I can't quite say yet. But even what our constitution is, so if you go to Liberland.org, we have a constitution there. We're even reworking that a little bit, and then trying to implement, our constitution onto the blockchain, which is a lot. It's just a little bit more difficult, really than it sounds. So it's a process. We're working on it, and when it's live, when everything is launched, which we could potentially, launch our blockchain later this year, maybe, cross fingers, but who knows? It's just a process, and this is something that we want to make sure that we get right.
Yeah, and obviously you don't want to rush. Yeah, exactly. You want to get it right. You don't want to be like one of those guys that rush it to the end and then find out that he missed something and then it doesn't work properly. So that's good. That's what any responsible person should do. And going forward, I mean, I wanted to ask you, how did you find out about Liberland? How did you get involved, and why did you get involved?
So why? I'll answer that question first. I mean, I'm like, when it comes to at the end of the day, if I want to have a family and I want my kids to grow up in a free country, so like that's kind of like what my motivation for this to happen. I really just want them to, on the opportunity. How I got involved, actually met all the guys at Anacapulco last year, and just super, very like warm giving guys, and I just wanted to come in, of course I had to prove myself and, show that I'm dedicated, show that I know my stuff, have a little bit of background, because I do work in the blockchain industry as well. And so kind of having that experience, having that passion, knowing what I'm talking about, like knowing what these ideals are, and then, being able to, in a situation like this, express them and saying, hey, this is what Liberland is about. And after, I had to prove myself a little bit, of course, and then they accepted me as their Ohio rep.
Yeah. So what are your duties as an Ohio representative for Liberland? Like, what are your duties? You go around talking to politicians in Ohio. Can you tell us a bit about that?
Yeah, so not only will we help on the state level, but we'll help on the federal level as well. So we'll talk to my congressmen and senators, and a few other people. Talk to like media outlets. But really, my job is to lead, kind of like a grassroots movement here in Ohio, and we're just starting, so we're kind of like in the process right now of building our team right now, and then also picking out, okay, what kind of representatives can we talk to, who might be open. And at the end of the day, we are party agnostic, so we don't care if you're the right or left or whatever. Do you understand, hey, Liberland is kind of like built on the American dream, and this is kind of like the way that you like will kind of sell the idea. So like, hey, we want to bring, democracy to the Balkans and everything like that, not with bombs. Through a transparent kind of like direct democracy, and be more information about that coming out in the future.
Well, I mean, the greatest form of democracy is the free markets anyway. You're voting, right? Every time that you buy a product, you're voting, and when you're buying into a system and you're voluntarily getting involved in that system, it's not the same as like putting guns to everyone's head and saying you have to follow our laws as a collective, or else we'll steal all your money and throw you in a cage. I think there's a great differentiation between the two.
Yeah, essentially, if you're going to stake these merits, I mean, you're buying into it, which means you have stake and you want the company, the company/country to succeed. But like we're not, like you don't have to be involved. And once like you stake those merits, you don't have to buy any more merits if you don't want to. So you don't, so in a sense, taxes are voluntary. But like if you pay more into the system, it's almost like you become more of a shareholder, which you have more of a vote. Which like there'll be more information, really regarding kind of like the complications and that, and like more details and like that. But if you invest more into the country, you kind of have more of a say. So almost like how any other company would operate.
Yeah, sure. So it's kind of like getting to the executive position and getting to the management position, and then there's the people, the baristas downstairs, etc., depending on what you invest yourself and the importance that you bring to the project. So that makes perfect sense. So I guess all I'd have to say going forward is I think it's an interesting idea. I think a lot of people are going to want to get involved in this. I mean, it's kind of a blood sport having to deal with politicians on a regular basis, but we were talking last night. I mean, it comes down to you don't have to like the path there. It's about getting to that path, and I think that's important, and at least somebody's doing it, because it's good to see there's multiple representatives that we've spoken to here at WAM from Liberland, and it just seems like it's building on a regular basis, and it gives some of us hope that, hey, maybe something might actually happen here, because obviously micronations have been attempted in the past. I don't know how Serbia and Croatia are dealing with this issue, but all the same, I would hope that they'd be like, oh, we don't want that land anyway, so allow these people to live freely on it, right? I mean, what has been the impact from, the neighboring countries?
Yes, so right now, Serbia has been super very welcoming. So we brought a lot of tourism to the area, and and obviously you and a lot of your viewers will understand that this area was previously like Yugoslavia, so it's a very poor area, and so we're bringing a lot of tourism into these areas. So like all these Liberlanders around the world are coming into these hotels and booking every room and everything like that, and they're bringing a lot of blockchain companies, a lot of like maritime, because like we're essentially building a fleet of boats. We'll have like the Bitcoin Freedom boat, which will be done soon. So we're bringing money into the region, and so when it comes to like dealing with Croatia, they're a little bit more sensitive, and like understandably so, because borders with that, it's a very sensitive topic, and they're a little concerned, which is understandable. But at the end of the day, the way that we view it is that we can bring so much money into the area, really help you out, and and the study's been done. We can increase the GDP from like half to 1% of both Serbia and Croatia, which is huge. But at the end of the day, what we're really trying to prove here is that Liberland wants to be the 21st century model of what a state should be. So if we can become like the leading a country, to saying, hey, this is what a country should be, hopefully we could lead by example, and kind of like push liberty this way, like in a way that Singapore and Hong Kong and like like Monaco to some degree, showing like, hey, these ideas of like free trade and free markets, you like to buy to a certain extent, yeah, certain extent, like really helps out and just really grows if we can just go to the next level and say, hey, this is what's going on. And come on, we get into arguments all the time like, hey, when has your ideas ever worked? We can point to Liberland, and that's what we want to do.
Also, anarchy is working right now because I don't see any government putting guns at our heads while we're talking. Anyway, but my point is that, I mean, and going forward, we have to look at places like San Marino, just erase the debt and the usury legal tender law craziness of San Marino, and it's in the middle of Italy. It's a small piece of land with like a castle and stuff, and they've been able to create a pretty incredible little area over there that's very prosperous, except for the banking system. So always watch out for the banking system. That's a moral to that story. But anyway, I really appreciate you joining us today. Where can people get involved and look further into what Liberland is doing?
So the first thing you can do is go to liberland.org. We have like an application, so if you want to become a citizen, fill out the application. We are incredibly busy, so it takes a while for us to get to these applications. We're just doing a lot. But really, if you have any skills or any certain passions that you think can really help out, I'm like Liberland. So if it's like you got connections to any politicians, or so, if you're good with media, you name it, like whatever you're good at, you can email me at ohio@liberland.org, kind of give me your pitch. If I buy it, then we'll get you involved and, show you to the right man, right people. So.
All I'll sign up for the press secretary job. Anyway, thank you very much for joining us, Joey. And of course, check the links below as always. And until next time, this is Josh Sigurdson signing out from World Alternative Media. Find the truth, be the change. Like what you see here at WAM? Don't forget to check the links below. GoFundMe, Patreon. We can't do it without you. Any donation is very much appreciated, especially as we are so vastly demonetized and censored on YouTube as these guys come in and flag all of our content as hate speech. Also, check out our Bitcoin address below as well as on the screen for you to scan if you please. And also check us out at steemit.com. We're at Josh Sigurdson. It's a future of social media where you get paid in the upvote of your post in cryptocurrency. Steem, that is. So make sure to check us out there. Make sure to join us at Anarchapulco 2019 with people like Ron Paul, G. Edward Griffin, of course, Jeff Berwick, Vít Jedlička. So many incredible speakers are going to be speaking. It's just a massively growing event. It is something you have to see to believe. So make sure to check it out below and save money on your tickets by using promo code WAM, that's WAM, and I hope to see you there. Also, check out our newsletter as we are getting demonetized and censored and all that. We don't know what comes next, so we have an email, worldalternativemedia@gmail.com. Send us an email with subject line YES, YES, and we will include you in the newsletter where we will continuously keep you updated. So until next time, thanks for watching, everyone. This is Josh Sigurdson signing out from World Alternative Media. Find the truth, be the change.
I'm sure you have already changed people's minds in your young age because you're involved, and I like that.